spoken, soft spoken, soft spoken, soft spoken, soft spoken video. And today I am going to be talking about some of my recent reads. So, books that I have finished recently, and one book that I am currently in the midst of. So, something that I am currently reading through at this point in time. So I hope you enjoy that. This soft-spoken version of a whisper, it's not quite a whisper, mumble, murmur, has been requested. And so I hope you enjoy it. But again, I know that lots of folks do really like the cupped whisper ramble, so we're going to do that as well. We're going to do all of the things today. So, thank you as always for your continued support of this channel and of me. It is so appreciated. If you haven't already, and you would like to like, comment, share, or subscribe, I would be so appreciative. But of course, as always, there's no pressure. You don't have to. It just helps me out a little bit. So anyway, with that, let's get into the video. And I'm going to share my first book here now. This book is called Transforming Trauma. It's by James S. Gordon, MD. And the byline here says, "The path to hope and healing." The path to hope and healing. And on the cover here it says, "This book could give you back your life in unimaginable ways, whether you think of yourself as a trauma victim or not." And that was quoted by John Kabat-Zinn, PhD and author of Full Catastrophe Living. So let me read the back for you in case you are interested in hearing more. A world-renowned psychiatrist gives us practical proof and tools to quiet anxiety, walk through fear, and become who we're meant to be. All of us have been living in the chaotic time and place of trauma, an endangered borderland between the world we once knew and an uncertain future. Transforming trauma shows us how to recognize and resolve the difficulties and disturbances we're facing. As we follow its healing path, we will also discover that meeting these challenges opens the way to new life-affirming ways of thinking, being, and acting. The lessons that trauma teaches can make us more healthy and whole, wiser and stronger than we've ever been, kinder and more committed to creating a world in which we care for ourselves and love for one another. And then it just says a little bit more about Dr. James S. Gordon. A Harvard-educated psychiatrist, is the founder and executive director of the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. Of course, at this moment in time, there are fireworks being launched into the sky. So, hoping you don't hear them. I hope they're not too loud, but I'm sorry if you are finding them to be a little bit distracting. Okay, formerly a researcher at the National Institute of Mental Health and chairman of the White House Commission on Complementary and Alternative Medicine Policy, he is a clinical professor of psychiatry and family medicine at Georgetown Medical School. He has published 10 previous books and has written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Atlantic, as well as numerous professional journals, and has been featured on 60 Minutes, The Today Show, Good Morning America, and NPR. I have already read this book, and I really liked it. I did really like it, and I found it to be incredibly useful. I really did like it. I do recommend it. There were some tools in this book that I was not familiar with. And let me go to the table of contents. So these are the chapters in the book. The biology of trauma, soft belly, quiet mind, body, and spirit, embracing hope, shaking and dancing, all emotions are innocent, only connect, accessing inner guidance, befriending your body, the trauma healing diet, the wisdom of the body, taming trauma's triggers, make love not war, nature heals, animal therapy, laughter breaks trauma spell, reading the leaves on your family tree, the healing circle, gratitude changes everything, forgiveness, love, meaning, and purpose, and next steps. So again, I found the chapters in this book to be incredibly insightful, and I did a lot of highlighting and took some notes, so I do recommend it if you're interested. Again, it is called Transforming Trauma, The Path to Hope and Healing. Again, the book is called Transforming Trauma, The Path to Hope and Healing. The path to hope and healing. The path to hope and healing. So, feel free to check it out. Okay, next up, I most recently finished this book, which is called All About Love. All About Love. It's called All About Love. It's called All About Love. It's called All About Love. And it's by Bell Hooks. Bell Hooks. Okay, so let me read the back for you. Okay. The acclaimed first volume in her love song to the nation. The word love is most often defined as a noun, yet we would all love better if we used it as a verb, writes Bell Hooks, as she comes out fighting and on fire and all about love. Here, uttermost provocative and intensely personal, the renowned scholar, cultural critic, and feminist skewers our view of love as romance. In its place, she offers a proactive new ethic for a people and society bereft with lovelessness. As Bell Hooks uses her incisive mind and razor-sharp pen to explore the question, what is love? Her answers strike both the mind and heart. In 13 concise chapters, Hooks examines her own search for emotional connection and society's failure to provide a model for learning to love, raising the cultural paradigm that the ideal love is infused with sex and desire. She provides a new path to love that is sacred, redemptive, and healing for individuals and for a nation. The Uten reader declared Bell Hooks as one of the 100 visionaries who can change your life. All About Love is a powerful affirmation of just how profoundly she can. So this book I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it so much. And similar to the last book, I do recommend it. I'll read through the chapter chapter names of this book as well to just give you a sense of content-wise what to expect, but it's a short read, as you can see, which is good for me because my attention span for reading can be limited at times, and I'm on a reading roll right now. I don't normally read this much. It's not that I don't want to, it ebbs and flows. I get into sort of like spells where I can just kind of read, and then there's moments where I can't at all for months at a time. So anyway, I'm in one right now where I've been reading a lot. But let me read those chapter titles for you. Okay, so first we've got Grace, Touched by Love, Clarity, Give Love Words, Justice, Childhood Love Lessons, Honesty, Be True to Love, Commitment, Let Love Be Love in Me, Let Love Be Love in Me, Spirituality, Divine Love, Greed, Simply Love, Community, Loving Communion, Mutuality, The Heart of Love, Romance, Sweet Love, Loss, Loving into Life and Death, Healing, Redemptive Love, and Destiny, When Angels Speak of Love. So, again, I really enjoyed this. I saw a few people talking about it on Instagram, and I got some recommendations for it on TikTok, and I thought I need to just pick it up. I saw it one day in my local bookstore, and so I just grabbed it on a whim, not knowing much about what it would be like, but I really liked it. I really liked it. Okay, so those are two of the sort of self-care books that I wanted to highlight. That's usually one of two directions that I fall into when I'm reading. So it's like self-care, self-help, introspective, psychology-based reading I do a lot of. But if it's not that, then it's more of what I'm going to show you next, okay? Those are sort of the two paths, but they're always nonfiction. They're always nonfiction. And again, I'm sorry about the noise. If you hear any noise, it's Saturday night, and this is quite literally the only time this week I've been able to film, and so I'm trying to just roll with it and not be annoyed that this is happening. But I'm trying really hard to make sure that I can get a video up for Monday, and if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. So, anyway, the next book I want to show off is Midnight in Chernobyl. Midnight in Chernobyl. This is a thick book. This took me quite a bit longer than the last one to get through. It's called Midnight in Chernobyl. The Untold Story of the World's Greatest Nuclear Disaster. And this one is by Adam Higginbotham. I don't know. As you might imagine, this was a pretty heavy read. Not only was it heavy because it was emotionally sad and distressing, but it was heavy also and time consuming because of the content itself. Like, if you're like me and you don't know a lot about physics or nuclear reactors, then some of it you have to read really carefully or read a few times before you understand it. And excellent storytelling in that way, because it feels like you're learning a lot. Like, I feel like I learned so much when I went through the story, but again, it took me a while to absorb, and then on top of it, it's like a highly distressing topic. But I will read the back of that book now, and if for whatever reason you're not familiar with Chernobyl, then the back will give you some additional context into what this book is about if you're interested in picking it up. Again, I think for like the historical value, the information, there's photos as well, not quite as devastating as you are probably imagining. There are a lot of really devastating scenes described in this book. And if you've seen the HBO special or any other special or documentary on the topic, then you know it was bad. But the photos here are reference photos, good informational type photos. So, the definitive harrowing story of the accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and a powerful investigation into how propaganda, secrecy, and myth have obscured the truth of one of the 20th century's greatest disasters. Early in the morning of April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl atomic energy station exploded, triggering history's worst nuclear accident. Drawing on hundreds of hours of interviews conducted over the course of more than 10 years, as well as letters, unpublished memoirs, and documents from recently declassified archives, Adam Higginbottom has written a gripping and compelling story that brings the disaster to life through the eyes of the men and women who witnessed it firsthand. The result is a chronicle of astonishing heroics and maddening incompetence, a study of the promise of science and also its potential to lure us into the hubris and danger, and the definitive account of an event that changed history. A story that is more complex, more human, and more terrifying than the Soviet myth. And it says Adam Higginbottom writes for the New Yorker, New York Times Magazine, Wired, GQ, and Smithsonian. He lives in New York City. So this is about 500 pages. Again, it's a big read, but it's a good one. It's a good one if that is the content you're looking for, right? So, again, I will share that it is one of the tougher reads. But I still do recommend it. Okay, next up, I'm gonna give just a quick little trigger warning. I probably should have given one for the Chernobyl book because, again, those get into some difficult discussions, real, historical, but traumatizing and triggering. I want to do that for this book that I'm about to show off because, again, these next few are nonfiction, and so they're challenging, okay? So just putting it out there. This one is called Operation Paperclip. This book is called Operation Paperclip. It is written by Annie Jacobson, or Jacobson, I'm not sure. And the byline says, "The secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America." This is another relatively thick book. Though, is it 500 pages? Yes. It is another book that's over 500 pages. Another dense read. I'd say it's fairly similar feel in terms of like it's you learn a lot about government structures. You're not learning about physics, so for me and my brain it was a little bit easier to get through in that way, where my brain just does not work for numbers and equations and things like that. But again, I still felt like it was heavy on the information that it provided in learning and whatnot. And also, of course, devastating, right? Really devastating content. Hard, heavy, difficult, distressing content. You probably are aware of that if you've heard about Operation Paperclip. That's not like I mean, it was secret at the time, but a lot of people by this point in life have heard about it, have watched a special on it. You know what I mean? So you might already be familiar with that, and if not, the back that I'm going to read will give you some of that additional context. And this is a book that I continue to go back to because I actually haven't finished it. Because again, it's heavy. It's a difficult read. I hate to say it in such like a flip way of, oh, I need to be like in the mood to read this, because it's just difficult, but I have to be in the right space, the right mindset to pick this up and to read it, and I'm not always feeling that way. So I've actually had this one in progress for quite a while. I will finish it eventually, but I'm taking my time. That's something that I can do. I will often read multiple books at a time because I'm somewhat of a mood reader, and that sometimes I want to be having that like self-help, self-care type vibe, and other times I want to learn and I want to immerse myself in the history and the understanding so I can deepen my awareness of what goes on in our society, what has gone on, and just educate myself on certain topics, because I feel like a lot of these things I never really learned in school, and if I learned them to any degree, it wasn't retained. So I definitely just want to bring awareness to myself in that way. So anywho, let's read the back of this book, Operation Paperclip. In the chaos following World War II, some of the greatest spoils of Germany's resources were the Third Reich's scientific minds. The U.S. government secretly decided that the value of these former Nazis' knowledge outweighed their crimes and began a covert operation, codenamed Paperclip, to allow them to work in the United States without the public's full knowledge. Drawing on exclusive interviews with dozens of Paperclip family members, colleagues, and interrogators, and with access to German archival documents, including papers made newly available by direct descendants of the Third Reich's ranking members, files obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, and lost dossiers discovered in government archives and at Harvard University, Annie Jacobsen follows more than a dozen German scientists through their post-war lives and into one of the most complex, nefarious, and jealously guarded government secrets of the 21st century. And then I'll read a little bit more about Annie. So, Annie Jacobsen is an investigative journalist and the author of the acclaimed New York Times bestseller Area 51. That sounds like something I would be interested in reading as well. She's a graduate of Princeton University and lives in Los Angeles with her husband and 2 sons. So again, that is Operation Paperclip, written by Annie Jacobsen, the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America. USA Today says it's important and superbly written. New York Times writes, gripping and skillfully rendered, the most in-depth account yet of the lives of Paperclip recruits and their American counterparts. And I agree, it is, again, really does go deep. And so that might be for you, that might not be for you. And again, understandably, like, if that is not content that you want to immerse yourself in, for whatever reason, totally get it. Don't pick up that book, right? You know, if that's something that you can kind of handle reading or not. That's true for Chernobyl as well, and that's also true for the next book that I'm going to show you. People always kind of make fun of me because they're like, you read the most depressing books. But again, it is really because I feel like I need to educate myself. It just seems like the right thing to do. And I just want to be more aware. But again, I do alternate between more positivity focused books where I'm trying to better myself as a human being and learn new tips and tricks for dealing with difficult life situations. And it's great because I can then offer advice to friends and family, or suggest these books, or share my notes with them. And so it's not all so doom and gloom. But I feel like when people think of me and the types of books I read, they're like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And I get it. Okay, so here's the last book that I'm going to show you because it's the one that I'm actively reading. I picked it up not that long ago. And I've honestly been pretty hooked. I've been pretty hooked. I can't lie, I've been pretty hooked, which doesn't happen a lot. It happened with All About Love by Bell Hooks that I showed up earlier. That one I was able to kind of commit to, and I would read like every night or every other night. This book is the same. And I think it's just the way it's written. It's very tension-grabbing. The person who wrote it is a journalist, an investigative journalist, and the way he writes is just hook, line, and sinker. He just grabs you so quickly, and with a topic such as this that is really hard to do. And I feel like Operation Paperclip is interesting in its own regard, but it feels slower. It feels a lot slower compared to what I'm reading now. Like, and granted, it is a smaller, shorter book, but the writing is a lot more accessible, and it's just a page turner. It's just easy to kind of keep reading. So, and it is called the Afghanistan Papers. This book is called the Afghanistan Papers. It's written by Greg Whitlock. It is a secret history of the war. And as you can see, again, it's not nearly as long as the other two that I just showed you. But let's read about it, shall we? Shall we read about it? I think so. The groundbreaking investigative story about 3 successive presidents and their military commanders deceived the public year after year about the longest war in American history by Washington Post reporter Greg Whitlock, a 3-time Pulitzer Prize finalist. Unlike the wars in Vietnam and Iraq, the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan in 2001 had near unanimous public support. At first, the goals were straightforward and clear: to defeat Al-Qaeda and prevent a repeat of 9/11. Yet, soon after the United States and its allies removed the Taliban from power, the mission veered off course and U.S. officials lost sight of their original objectives. Distracted by the war in Iraq, the U.S. military became mired in an unwinnable guerrilla conflict in a country it did not understand. But no president wanted to admit failure, especially in a war that had begun as a just cause. Instead, the Bush, Obama, and Trump administrations kept sending more troops to Afghanistan and repeatedly said they were making progress, even though they knew there was no realistic prospect for an outright victory. The Washington Post sued the U.S. government twice to unearth the documents that formed the basis of the Afghanistan Papers. Just as the Pentagon Papers transformed the public's understanding of Vietnam, these papers provide startling revelation from the leaders in the White House and the Pentagon to soldiers and aid workers on the front lines. His successor, Robert Gates, said, "We didn't know Jack, S-H-I-T, about Al-Qaeda." And then on the other side, it was continued. It says, "In unvarnished language, people at all levels of the conflict admit the U.S. warfighting strategies were a mess. The nation-building project was a colossal failure, and that drugs and corruption gained a stranglehold over their allies and the Afghan government. All told, the Afghanistan Papers is based on interviews with more than 1,000 people who knew that the government was presenting a distorted and sometimes entirely fabricated version of the facts on the ground. The Afghanistan Papers is a shocking account that will supercharge a long overdue reckoning over what went wrong and forever change the way conflict is remembered." So yeah, it's a really good book so far. I'm on page 55. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Like a lot, which I really appreciate. And just again, similar to the other books, I had no idea that any of this was going on. I mean, like, I knew, but not to this extent, and I didn't. Yeah, again, the education piece is important to me. So that's what I've been reading. And that's what I have read recently, like within the past few months. I have other books, like this is nowhere near my full collection. I have books that I'm in the middle of. I have books that I haven't started, and I have books that I've finished, all of which I could show off in a different sort of ramble video, but I just wanted to quickly pop on and give you a bit of what I'm reading and what I've read recently, just to kind of check in. But if you want a longer video with more of that kind of content, with a wider range of books, then I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do that, because while this is the sort of realm that I find myself in, that it's not just like this doom and gloom. Like, I do have interest in like ocean life and environment and climate action and medicine, and like I'm interested in medical stuff, so I do sort of